Good morning, everyone, and welcome to family worship for this Sunday.
Hello, everyone.
It's October the
I
25th.
hope all you viewers this show will talk about this video.
Well, yeah, it's good if you could share or talk about this video as well as make use of what we have here. Today's big God question that I hope you had a chance to think about is,
What is something that has made you angry this past week? Maybe a couple of weeks, months, or maybe even year if you can't find something in that time period.
What is something that's made you angry?
Well, my answer says I'm not quite sure, at least in my memory.
In your memory. Anything beyond the last week, anything in the last month or two that's made you angry? You were upset? Felt unfair?
I don't really remember. I'm sure there's probably some things, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, usually I find that when things are unfair or I don't know, things don't happen the way I want them to, it can be frustrating. I can get angry. Um, there's lots of things that can do that. If somebody's mean to you, that makes you angry, right?
Yeah, but there aren't really any bullies in my third grade class.
Well, that's good. But I know that in the past that's something that's made me angry.
Great one, I had huge bully issues. And these guys called Oliver and Leo
Yes.
bullied me there. I was in a first second grade split. They were in second grade. I was only in first.
Yeah, and I've had times like that in school. It can be hard, or even just if things aren't going well, but particularly if you feel like you're not being treated fairly, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get angry when you see things happen to other people that aren't right too. Well, let's as we think about how this will connect with our big God theme. Let's start our game, and this week it is a new game.
Ooh, what is it gonna be? Spot the match. I can see the match here. All the walls have orange.
Yeah, spot the match. All right, so we've got our first one between the first two rectangles. What are two things that are the same between those two rectangles?
They are food.
Yeah, but what are two foods that are the same between the two rectangles? Can you tell?
Let me see. Yes, I can see that and that.
Yeah,
those two mangoes.
That's right. The two mangoes are the same. What about between the next two boxes? What's the same? What's the matching between the two of them? Oh, it's the two groups of peppers. See it now?
Okay.
And between the next two.
I could see that. Bam! Right away, the two watermelons. I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, two watermelon. And what about the next one?
Let me see.
Hint,
What?
It's your favorite fruit.
Pineapple?
It's the two pineapples.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what's the match between here? There's two mushrooms.
Two mushrooms. How about this one?
There's
something that's been in your lunch, in lunches the last little while.
There's two oranges.
There's two oranges. All right, how about this one? What's the same between the next two?
There's both. There's chicken dinner in both.
Chicken dinner.
And now what's between what's the similarity between the first one and the modern?
The last one.
And they
need to get cracking.
They both have eggs.
They both have eggs. All right. Well, we've got the game. Now we need to unlock our memory verse. So our last week was this one.
The Lord is my light, and He saves me. Why would I fear anyone? The Lord protects my life. Why should I be afraid?
Very good. Psalm 27:1. But we have a new. Nathan's very excited right now. But we have a new verse this week that'll actually connect with some of the lesson, our big God themes for the next few times. And that new memory verse is, let's read it together.
The Lord is kind and gracious,
slow to anger, faithful, and overflowing with love. And so which of these ones do you think is going to be our big God theme for the day?
Maybe a mix between both, or the new one.
Yeah. So how about we
well, either way. Let's see.
So let's get that big God theme machine going. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Looks like it connects with the new verse.
That's right. It connects with a new verse. God is slow to anger. And we'll see how that works out with the big God story that goes today. And it's from a new book of the Bible. It's from the book of Judges.
Things continued to go pretty well for God's people after the life of Joshua. They remembered God's teachings, they told each other the stories of all that God had done, and they showed the world just how special and amazing God was by how they lived. But when they forgot those things didn't go well for them at all. Enemies arose around them and took their food, killed their people, conquered their land. But God doesn't quit. And God is slow to anger, even when we make mistakes. So God raised up special leaders to guide his people back to him. He called them his judges. God would call special men and women to lead by example. One of those people was a woman named Deborah. She was a special judge who helped the people understand right from wrong and take what God told her and pass it on to the people. One of those messages was for a man named Barak. God's people had enemies all around them, and God's plan for Barak was to lead his armies to defeat the enemies. God's plan for Barak was for him to take 10,000 Israelites to go up against the much bigger enemy army. This plan concerned Barak a little bit. He was worried and afraid. He said to Deborah, "I'll go, but only if you come with us." Deborah agreed to go, but reminded Barak, "Because you didn't trust God's plan, someone else is going to get the victory." They headed off to face their enemies. The day of the battle came, and Deborah and Barak met with Sisera's armies on the battlefield. And as God had promised, the Israelites were victorious. Sisera's entire army, even though it was bigger, was completely destroyed. He was the only one left, and he ran away. Ran for fear. Ran for protection. Sisera ran away. Ran for his life. He ran and hid in the tent of some people that he thought were his friends, but even they turned on him in the end. Even though God's people had not been entirely faithful to him and made big mistakes, and even though Barak had not really trusted God in the beginning, God still saved them. Because God is slow to anger, and God always remembers his promises. And his promise was to love his people. God is slow to anger.
So what do you take from that story?
So that God is slow to anger and He provides victory even when we make mistakes, because no one except Jesus and God is perfect.
Yeah. That God is, another word the Bible uses for God is that He's patient. Does not say that what we do doesn't upset God, particularly when we hurt other people, when we do things that make God look bad by when we behave poorly, or but particularly if what we do has a negative effect on others. But God is patient; He's slow to anger. You can actually see that in the whole story of Israel up to now. When the people made mistakes, God gave them lots of chances. And this is the beginning of things in Judges. The people made lots of mistakes, but every time God raised up a new judge to help them after things were difficult for a while. But that's also something, how God is patient with others. Because even sometimes we think, wow, why don't bad people? Why doesn't God take care of that? But just like God is patient and slow to anger with us, God is patient and slow to anger with everybody. He wants people to change, to choose what's good and what's right.
Yeah, you're right about that, Dad.
Mm-hmm. And so it's not just something for us; it's for everybody. It's part of God's character, and that's what we cite on that Psalm verse. That's actually it's a summary of one of the big statements in the Bible about who God is. That God is slow to anger, that He's gracious, that He's kind. And we'll look at a few of these other things in the next few weeks. But let's take a moment.
And the next few episodes, of course.
Yes.
And speaking of episodes, this one is coming to an end quite soon.
It is, so we're going to pray. But we're going to pray first, all right? Dear God, we thank You that You are kind and gracious, and that You are slow to anger. We know that You want this world to be right, and You want us to make right choices.
You want us to make right choices.
But You are patient with us.
But You are patient with us.
And patient with others.
And patient with others.
We pray that You would help us to make right choices.
We pray that You would help us to make right choices.
And to be patient with others.
And to be patient with others.
The way that You are patient with us.
The way that You are patient with us.
And if we do get frustrated, let's be angry about the right things.
Let's be angry about the right things, like other people being hurt.
And do what we can to make this world a better place. We thank You for Jesus.
Who
leads us in Your way. And it's in His name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everyone, that's it for this week. Hope you are having a
bye. See you later.
Good month of October, getting ready for Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween is just in.
It's just around the corner.
It's just in 1 week. Remember, because today's one day in the past. When this episode is published, the next week will be it'll be November 1st, the day after Halloween.
Yeah, so we'll see you.
And the first day of the last month of autumn.
Yes. So we'll see you again after Halloween. Take care. God bless. Be well.